Hi there, my name's Aaron Short and welcome to my YouTube channel. Now today I'm going to do a quick video comparing the Spark Mini with the Spark 40. So what happened was I got the Mini, I had a problem with the app crashing, so I immediately ordered the 40 to have that instead, and then that very night they released an update for the app which actually fixed the crashing issue. So I then had both of them. I'm not going to keep both of these, I'm going to keep one of them. So what I'm going to do today, I hope you find this helpful, is I'm going to record both amps with that microphone, also listen to them in the room and give you my experience of these two amps. I'm just going to use mostly the stock settings. They're both reset to factory right now. So I'm not going to play with it too much. Depending on which one I keep, I'll then make a future video where I talk about how I dial in sounds, because I do like these amps. But for me, the question is, which one would you choose? And I've seen many people talk about these online, and people are saying the smaller one is much better. But I'm not sure I agree with that. So I'm just going to sit here right now and give you my thoughts as I play through them. So when I'm playing, you'll only hear the mic right in front of the speaker. Bear in mind that mic is right in front of the speaker. There's no other processing though. I'll turn off the vocal mic while I'm playing. We're going to go through each sound. I'm going to play them, listen to them, and then take the headphones out and tell you how I feel about it in the room. I'm in a small room. I'm looking for a practice amp to carry around. Obviously the Mini one is battery powered, which is awesome. But the 40 is about 4 times the power. So that could be a good thing as well. They're getting firmware updates all the time. Bear that in mind. They've already updated a few things about the Mini. The headphone jack now is louder, which is great. And the app is working much better as well, which is also great. But let's talk about the sounds. How do these sound in a room? So here we go. I'm going to mute the mic and play through the 4 presets that come out of the box with this amp. And I'm going to use my American Professional 2 Stratocaster. Here we go. Okay, I've got to say, actually, the sound in the room versus the headphones is very close. I'm very happy with how it represents the tone. But in the room, set at 3/4, because this small one does break up, especially with clean sounds. I find that the transients, and unless you really compress the signal, will make the speaker rattle and break up. Of course, with distorted sounds, everything's much more compressed, so you don't really get that. It's definitely not as bassy as you'll hear later as the larger Spark. I think that's why people are liking this speaker. And you can go in and make changes, of course. There are bass and EQ settings and an EQ pedal. The Mini amp also currently has an option to change the overall character of the sound that the large one doesn't have. And I don't know if they'll add that or not. Maybe they've released that by the time this video goes live. But out of the box, this is a very usable tone. I will say that. Now, volume-wise, I don't know. I feel like for practicing, if you have this up high near your ear, it's great for practicing by yourself in a small space. But I think the problem with, especially with the clean sounds, is if you need to get it louder, you're going to get that breakup of the speaker. So if you want real clean sounds with this, I don't know if this is the way to go. As we get more distorted, I think we'll have a better experience. So here's the first sound again. So let's try the next setting. This one is called lead. Actually sounds really nice. Again, I think this sounds better than the cleans. It's brighter and the distortion is very, for want of a better word, believable. You know, with some of these solid state amps, I don't like the tones, and sometimes playing through studio monitors, it lacks something, but this amp definitely adds a certain character and punch that gives you a bit of a kick in the face in the room. I really like that. So I really like this sound, and if I back off the volume, I can get quite a nice clean sound as well. I'm just worried that it's not loud enough. That's my concern. Let's go on to the next sound. So this is the solo tone. I feel like the more distorted the tones get, the more I like them. I like the distorted tones much more than the clean tones, but I'm hearing that speaker rattle again. And remember, we're at 3/4 volume here. It's not that loud in the room. So I'm hearing that break up of the speaker. It's lacking some low end, I feel. Again, I can dial that in with EQ, but today we're just looking at what comes out of the box. I think for me, this isn't working out so far because that speaker is not taking the volume. And if I back it down to half volume, it's not loud enough for me, in my opinion. There's one more sound to check out. So this is the custom sound. I think this is just even heavier again. Again, I'm just hearing that speaker break up. Let me turn the speaker down to 50% rather than 75%. Okay, this is 50% volume on the amp now. So now I'm not hearing the breakup, and it's loud enough to practice with. So again, I feel like if you're playing heavy sounds, this is good. I think it works really well. The clean sounds to me just aren't really there. I can't get enough volume from them without the breakup, and I can't get enough kind of treble from the sound. But for the distorted sounds at 50%, you get none of that breakup from the speaker, and it actually sounds pretty good in the room. So if you play mostly distorted tones, I think this might work for you. I just think it's a shame that as you turn this thing up, you get the breakup of the speaker. I don't think you could use this at 100% volume for that reason. And that's a shame because at 100% volume, it sounds pretty good. You know, it's a nice volume in the room, but you get that breakup from the speaker. So it hasn't got much headroom. So let's move on to the Spark 40 now. As you can see, it's about 4 times the size. And it is about 4 times the volume. So we shouldn't have the headroom issue anymore. Let's check out the clean sound. And this is just 50% volume on the amp. So I am hearing a lot more low end here, and that added low end is making the sound very bassy and muffly to me, and that's what people say online. It's a very bassy sounding amp. This clean tone definitely needs some work, but I'm not hearing that breakup, and it is much louder. So for me, that's a good thing. Just try one more time. Yeah, so at half volume, it's already louder than the other one. So that's going to be more useful for clean sounds. At the end of this, I will go in and just tweak this clean sound to see if I can get it sparkly enough for me. But let's try the next tone now. So these should get progressively more gainy as we go. I'm going to turn the volume down this one. This is more of our kind of edge of breakup tone if I turn the volume down on the guitar. But when I do that, I often have to turn the master up to compensate. And that's why, again, the smaller one wasn't quite enough for me. Let's try this now. I really like that tone. I definitely think these Spark amps are better at the drive sounds than the cleans, but I do like really sparkly cleans, and I usually get those with an amp that has a presence control. And these don't have a presence control, but that is a great tone, and that is loud in the room, and it's only 50%. So this is a tough one because I feel like that's almost too loud at 50%, where the Mini was not quite loud enough. I'm starting to think already that they should have made a slightly smaller 40, like maybe a 30, but battery powered. Maybe that would be the sweet spot. Obviously, they don't make that product. I think so far I'm really enjoying the the thought of the added headroom from the 40, and I do like it. It's just that it's very bassy on those clean sounds. So we'll see at the end if I can dial in a really nice clean sound with the added headroom as well. But that distorted tone was really nice. Really, really nice. Don't forget as well, the bigger amp also has physical controls on top, where the mini amp is only controlled by the app, and you might enjoy that too. Let's try the next tone. So I've got neighbors around me. That is pretty darn loud. So I'm going to back the amp down. So we're at 10 o'clock now, and the guitar volume on maximum. Again, really like the distorted tone, and I'm impressed how loud that is at 10 o'clock on the amp. So I'm not saying we could run this amp at full volume. I'm sure it will start to break up as well, but we definitely have a lot more volume on tap than the Mini. Of course, this is all pretty obvious, but I just wanted to try it in person and give you some opinions, because I've seen so many different mixed opinions on the Mini. Don't get me wrong, the Mini is impressive for the size. It's so much smaller, it's so much lighter, and it's battery powered. So we're never going to expect that to sound like the bigger one. But people are saying it sounds better than the bigger one. Maybe out of the box it does because of the reduced bass, but it doesn't have the volume, and I don't think it has enough volume for me, in my opinion, for what I'm doing. I want more clean headroom, personally. Let's try the next tone. This should be the heaviest tone. Now I can hear that starting to break up. That's pretty loud though. It's too loud for the room. I couldn't play like that at this volume. So bear that in mind, these speakers do start to break up at louder volumes. You can't run them on 100%. So if someone says the Mini sounds great at 50%, I mean, in my opinion, you can't go to 100. It's gonna, on certain tones, it's gonna start to break up the speaker, and that's not really that pleasant, is it? Like you don't want to hear the speaker breaking up. So that was pretty heavy, but you know what? I definitely prefer the bigger one. I actually think the bigger one is too big and too loud. But if I had to pick one, and of course you could buy both. I can see the usage of both of them. But if you only want to buy one, for me, it's the bigger one, because it's an extra like $100. But you could do a coffee shop gig with it. You could jam with it. The headphone output, by the way, is louder. Again, too loud. You're going to blow your ears out with it, but it's louder. So there's definitely a reason to have both of these. If you need the battery-powered one to throw around, on the beach, whatever. If you need this one for jamming and teaching, I can see a reason to have both of them. Don't get me wrong, it's not one or the other. Right now, I only want one because I have a certain use case for it. I don't need both right now. I would consider getting the battery-powered one in the future if I needed battery power. But right now, I think the bigger one, it just sounds bigger. It just sounds really good. And it's nice to know you've got that added volume if you need it. But before I finish the video, I am going to go in and take some of the low end out because there's just way too much low end on the bigger amp. Let me see if I can dial in a clean that I like. Here we go. I'm going to see if I can dial in a brighter clean sound. So the clean sound I have right now sounds like this. All right, let's use the app. Let's take off all the bass, boost all the treble. What does that sound like now? All right, that's much brighter. So again, I feel like it really needs a presence control. That's what we're missing here. Let me go to the EQ. Let me just try some of the EQ, the guitar EQ. So again, the highest setting you've got for that is 3.2K. Let me bring that up though, and bring down the bass on there, and then play around with the amp. Let me bring that treble down a little bit. I think the problem is when you bring up the treble that much on the amp, it's quite harsh. What I really want is presence, and it doesn't have presence. And for me, that's the biggest omission with these amps. But let me try that sound. So I've boosted some treble on the EQ, cut some bass on the EQ, and I've got the treble on the amp up, but not at maximum, and the bass down, but not all the way. So let's see what that sounds like. So that is much brighter, and there's not enough low end now. So we bring the low end up on the amp. So that is much brighter. So if you want a bright sound, what you need to do is you need to elevate these amps. You need to get them up high near your ear height. You need to go into the EQ pedal and take out some of the bass and boost some of the treble, and then use the amp to set it where you want. I still wish there was an actual presence control on all the amps, but there isn't. But that is quite a bright, chimey clean. So you can definitely get those sounds. I'm surprised they don't set that sound out of the box, because when I first turned this thing on, I'm like, this just sounds really muddy. But now it sounds actually really good, I think. It's really nice, and that's not perfect, but I know that I can get those brighter tones. Again, wish there was a presence control, but there isn't, but I can get them. I love the drive tones. I love the clean, but again, with the clean, now I've dialed that in, I have got the amp set to 3/4 volume. So again, that's another reason why the Mini, I don't think does the clean sounds as well. Now, if you own these, if you've tried these, let me know in the comments below what you think, if you disagree, if you agree. But that's my thoughts. And today isn't the only time I've used these. I've been using these both for a while. I just want to sit there and actually do it in front of the camera. And again, my findings are that the small one it's amazing for the size and the weight and the fact it's battery powered. But as a clean player, I play a lot of cleans, it doesn't have the tone. And then even the drive sounds, I like the fact the bigger one has a bit more of a deeper tone as well, especially with a Strat. With the single coil pickups, I want that extra low end to help balance them out. So if you play like really heavy sounds with humbuckers, the small one actually might work really well for you. But for what I do, and for what I want this for, which will be like teaching, taking out to rehearsals and writing sessions, I think this one is definitely more suitable for me. Like I said earlier, I would actually like to see one of these which is kind of in the middle, battery powered and about 3/4 of the size of this 40 one. I'd also like to see a Pro version in the future, which is twice the size of this with the presence controls and an even fuller sound that you actually use on stage, maybe with a dedicated line out as well. I gotta say, I love these products because they're taking the digital world and giving us a product which the analog products cannot do. So I love my tube amps over here, but they do one thing. They do it really well. This thing is an interface. It's got all the effects. It's got an app. It's got backing tracks. It can show you the chords to songs. This is what I think digital technology should do. Don't just give us one box that recreates one amp. Give us a box like this that does a multitude of things. And it's also a recording interface. The headphone out sounds really good, especially on the bigger one. It gets really loud. So I love the direction they're going with these. And I'm definitely gonna keep the bigger one, this 40. I'm not gonna keep the smaller one for now. I don't think it's for me, but I might get one in the future if I need the battery power. I'm gonna make a demo review of this amp. And this isn't a sponsored video, I bought these. I'm going to review this one and talk about my sounds when they're fully dialed in. So if you're new here, please subscribe, ring the bell, and watch out for that video. I'll also do some videos with acoustic guitars as well, how I use it with them, and more in-depth thoughts about the product. But I've been using it a lot. It's really nice having one box that does everything all in one. Even though I have the separate things here and I can use like my interface and my computer to do everything this thing does, it's nice having it all in one box. It really is. So I hope you found this useful. If you've tried this, let me know what you think as well of the two amps. And I'll look forward to seeing you in the next video. Take care and be well. Bye-bye.